Okay, many of the dinosaurs found fossils, many of the dinosaur fossils found recently in China seem to provide evidence of the kinship between dinosaur and birds. While this happens, I'm expecting some most don't provide of the most of the evidence. I'm assuming what is here is talking about evidence of the kinship between dinosaur and birds is not just the case. Most of the evidence, you might get a few pieces of evidence that say that there is a lot of friendship between dinosaurs and birds, but overwhelmingly most of the I haven't read this part right here, but what I'm expecting is overwhelming fossils by and large still seem to provide evidence to the contrary, which is dinosaurs and birds were not friends. All right, let's see what it says. The wealth of enigmatic fossils seem more likely at this stage that they will inflame debate. Whoa, okay. While many seem to provide evidence of the kinship of the friendship, I think, the wealth of fossils seem more likely at this stage that they seem the wealth of enigmatic fossils seems more like what is the word seem? The wealth of fossils seems to suggest the wealth of enigmatic fossils. That seem more likely at this stage that they will inflame debate over the origins of birds rather than settle them. Okay, while many found provide evidence of the kinship between dinosaurs and birds, the wealth of enigmatic fossils. The wealth of enigmatic fossils. What does that mean, enigmatic fossils? The wealth of fossils. Is this the wealth? Is this word meaning majority? The majority of fossils? The wealth of enigmatic fossils. What does that mean, wealth of enigmatic fossils even mean? While many of the found seem to provide evidence of the kinship between the wealth of fossils. The wealth. Is the word wealth mean majority? So that's a question I wasn't sure about. What does wealth in this case mean majority? The wealth of fossils. I think this means the majority of fossils. And if I'm not mistaken, the majority of fossils, I think is half, like assuming wealth means majority of fossils, singular or plural? Majority of the students are bright. I think this is referring to the majority students is increasing. I think in this case, it depends on what is it that you are talking about. So this could be okay, so majority of the students are bright. So the word majority can be singular or plural depending on the structure. It's a majority. So what is the wealth of enigmatic fossils? The wealth of fossils seems more likely at this stage that they will inflame debate over the origins of birds rather than settle them. The wealth of enigmatic fossils. What is being referred that they will inflame debates? What is that being referred to? And this is a separate. We'll come to that later. What is the green being referred to? Is it the wealth or the majority of fossils, or is it the fossils itself? What is the connection with the previous stuff? While many of the dinosaurs found, many recently seem to provide evidence of the kinship between dinosaurs and birds. The wealth, I think this is saying the wealth in this case is meaning majority, has to be. The majority seems more likely that it will. Seems the majority of fossils seems that it will inflame. The majority of fossils will the majority of, can you say majority of students will inflame? The majority of evidence, the majority of the wealth of enigmatic, the majority of coffee lovers will inflame debate over the best coffee. Something like that. I think what this is saying, this is referring to the, not to the fossils of the enigma, the of enigmatic fossils. What does that even mean, enigmatic fossils? The wealth of fossils. Well, I could frankly use grammar over the origin of birds rather than settle them. X will inflate birds rather than. The wealth of fossils. The wealth, is it the fossils that are at this stage will inflame debate over, while many of the fossils found, I think it's the word wealth is what is driving this debate. It's the number of enigmatic fossils that the wealth will seems more like, so the wealth, I don't think they make sense because it should be referring to A out, because they should refer to majority. Keep for now, keep now. C, D, E, keep. Because it has, there is an it, which is okay. This is there is no, doesn't seem like there's an it over here. So X rather than Y, I guess. So let's then look at over the origin of birds, then settle them. X will inflame debates over the origin of birds at this stage, then settle them. I don't think the word then makes sense. It should be rather than. X seems more likely at this stage. So too inflamed than too settled. This seems to be very parallel. And I like the wealth of enigmatic fossils seems more likely at this stage. Yeah, this makes sense actually, because while many have found the wealth of enigmatics at this stage, so this is showing some kind of simultaneity. While you are eating, I am sleeping. So I really like this at this stage. I really like this. I really like this at this point. Um, the word at this stage does over the origins at this stage. I don't know if that's even. I don't know if I agree with that. That seems it should not be so close to the wealth seems more likely to inflame. I don't know why that would make sense with this. While many of the dinosaurs found recently seem to provide evidence of kinship, the wealth of enigmatic fossils seems more likely at this stage. Even in this case, I think this is wrong. It should not at this stage. I think the word at this stage should be more close to seems more likely. I think I would, but then this seems more like that the wealth of the wealth of enigmatic in fossils that seems more likely. The wealth of fossils, even the wealth seems. I think this is plural, and that also is wrong. This also is wrong. Seems more likely at this stage. So I think D is good. Seems more likely at this stage. The word seems. The wealth seems more likely. Too inflamed debates over the origin of birds. Seems to. The wealth of. So what is D saying? I really like D. B out because of seem at this stage is wrong as well. D seems more likely. C at this stage is wrong. D seems more likely. While Y seems more likely at this stage to inflame than to settle. Inflame debates than to settle them. This seems perfect in terms of parallelism as well. The 2 and 2 at this stage. To inflame, then to settle. This has to be D. I'll be stunned if it's not D. Oh, thank God.